Shar-day is going to talk a little bit about how we see this resource helping students and assisting them in the appeals process. Shar-day, you ready to go over there?
I am.
All right, so let me get you onto your first slide here.
Thank you. So when we think about what a student is facing when they have to make these decisions, when they're in need of actually doing an appeal, usually those who already have help-seeking behavior, who have this tendency to declare need early or often, those are the types of students that get nudged or advised once they declare need about what that process is. If they are searching the website, I know one thing when we were partnering with the Hope Center for another project, we saw an uptick in how they were finding the food scholarship because they were searching for the word scholarship on our website. And when you think about how much intentionality went into the content around with the 18 partners for Swift Student, there was also a great deal of consideration given to search engine optimization, which is how things show up in Google results and in the context of how a student actually searches for this information. A lot of institutional websites search functionality is powered by Google, but some isn't. So some of them aren't. So there's an opportunity to have this content on your website and leverage it for students when they are searching, because they may not verbalize need, but they may be searching according to need. A lot of what we're seeing with COVID-19 is even when students declare need, they don't know how to declare that need. They don't know what documentation is needed. They don't know how to submit something without like the flow of the guidance of that this tool actually empowers them to do. It's like, you know, when you select this field, I know I can select with confidence that I am submitting this with the information that typical financial aid offices need to at least start the process. So we have the opportunity with this tool to help students understand how that process works with a lot less effort of them trying to figure it out, know when to declare need, or, you know, submit incomplete applications. You could go to the next slide. Types of appeals available for Swift students. As Abigail pointed out, how these questions are formatted are not aligned with what we would usually call them in the financial aid office. We have online forms at Houston Community College, but it's definitely dependency override, and we draw students to it through checklist items. But this gives them the opportunity to make that connection point of why I need to fill out a certain type of appeal. It brings them to a place where they feel like they know how to ask for help and when to ask for help and how to ask for it and submitting it. And starting that conversation, a lot of advising conversations start with, how can I help you? Well-intentioned, but students need additional nudging. The content that is on this appeal, the follow-up checklist item, it guides students on how to have these conversations with their aid officers. And it also helps an aid officer realize, oh, okay, I forgot I may have not meant to, I may have missed mentioning that this is also available. So it fosters that conversation that a student walks away that they know they have clear action items, the aid officer has clear action items, and they have a plan. And so when we think about just what happened, there's so much, there's a formulaic approach to how they receive content in an instructional setting. This is a formulaic approach of how they receive steps on how they can actually advocate for themselves when they need help doing an appeal. You can go to the next slide. So writing a letter of support, writing a letter, like when you tell somebody to write a letter, even when you think about it in our context and you're in higher ed, the worst thing you can do is get to the end of an application that says, hey, you need 3 letters of support. And you're like, oh, now I have to ask these people what to put in the letter, what's necessary. Students feel the same way when we say, hey, you need to submit an appeal with supporting documentation. And now I'm like, what do I sit down? What do I write? How do I explain this? How, if I need somebody else to write on a letter on my behalf, how do I tell them what's supposed to be in there? These templates offer the support to empower students to be able to navigate this process. And also when you consider what's going on in the aid office right now, it creates this readiness for emergencies. You can quickly deploy this tool, tell students this is here to help you navigate this and create expectations around the content that already exists. And students appreciate that because how they have to process decisions in scarcity in times of need like this having templates reduces that uncertainty that they're already facing in a lot of areas of their life.